say probably the greatest influence on my wrestling career is probably my brother growing up. So he wrestles at Northern Colorado University, or I guess University of Northern Colorado. But he was my training partner forever growing up. Whether it was in wrestling practice or just at home, he's always been there. He's always close enough to my weight that we were great partners forever.
I think that in the wrestling room, my teammates on the Sunkist kids team and the men of the Olympic teams in the 2000s were fantastically helpful for me. Technically, people like Tim Vanny, Brad Penrith spent a lot of time with me. Miran Karchalava, my husband, was hugely influential. Dave Schultz and Valentin Juranoff actually helped me a lot with things that I took forward. And that's a pretty nice crew of people that you think coming in around who are helping you in a room, you know, the Kendall Crosses and Johnson, those are the folks you get to watch. Where I had a very special career coming out, having those people just be the folks you say hello to sometimes in the day or at the Sunkist camps. And so I was able to learn a lot from them. I had a huge respect for them because I got to sit back and watch and learn about intensity and learn about grit and skill. And Zeke Jones, they all do it a little bit differently. But you find after a while, you watch enough people who win a lot and who will not take second as an answer. They have a very common vein amongst them, and you have to figure out your way to get to that mentality. And that was very helpful, not just technically in wrestling, but them as a group. Art Martori was one of the biggest influencers, I think, on me. He made most every opportunity that I had, and I would never have done anything without them. He always said, you find a way. And I said, oh, really? Who was doing what you did at that time? Who was number two? There was just him.
Without a doubt, the greatest influence was my dad. He got me into wrestling. He was always my biggest supporter. He was always there. I wrestled about 1,500 domestic matches, and I think he missed 2 matches of mine, which of course, he's still upset he missed those 2. But he was, and he was my coach all the way through. Mat side coach, mental coach, and sometimes as I got farther along, he necessarily wasn't in every practice, but he was always there for me, always pushed me, and taught me how to live my life the right way. So he has been my biggest influence.
My high school coach. My high school coach was the best mentor. He was the coach that gave me the foundation. He planted the seeds that I still have today. So I would say my high school coach. He's the reason I ended up at Iowa State. He's the reason that I became as good of a wrestler as I became. And he's one of the reasons that I probably ended up in coaching, because of the lessons that I got from him.
I think I would have to say Bill Cole. He was my coach for 4 years at Penn State, and then I was his assistant for 6 more years after that. And then when he retired, I got the head coaching job. But I was so amazed by him and his knowledge and his delivery of the subject matter, and how it was a science, and how push and pull and pressure and reactions to stimulus and setups. And I learned and learned from the guy. And I mean, 4 years later, and you're still learning from this guy. And he was amazing. He wasn't a rah-rah kind of guy. He was pretty much all business. Had 6 children, so he was pretty busy. Plus, he taught classes at Penn State at the same time. Plus, ran the wrestling program. So he's very, very influential to me in my life, and he was a very honest man. And he took me for who I was, tried to help me become a better person. But he said, when you see Rich Lorenzo, you get what you see. I don't know if that's good or bad, Greg. I just don't know.
The man who coached me through my last 3 years, and his name was Fritz Lewis, and he had never been a wrestling coach. So here's a school that's starting, and they're starting with a man that also had not wrestled himself or coached it. But he was an excellent coach, and I know why they chose him, because he knew how to use his ability as a mentor to help kids succeed and get better. I mean, going from nothing, no knowledge whatsoever, to a conference champion really, I can't take the credit for that. I have to give that to the man. I actually spoke and sang at his funeral here about 3 years ago. Tough job, yeah. He also influenced me into becoming a coach and a teacher. He said, you need to go into education. So I need to give him credit there too, for my 4 decades of being an educator.
I'd say my dad, because he helped me get started along with my brother, and he's been my coach my entire life, and he travels with me to all my tournaments and training camps.